Okay, we have gone live and we're going to be talking about the 189 visa changes. Hello. Hello. People just send the strangest things. What can I say? So there's been changes to the 189, which are pretty dramatic changes. So I don't know what's going on, but I've been reading some stuff on Facebook groups. I mean, the people giving advice on these Facebook groups are just self-interested. Oh yes, you've got a chance. You just make an application and give me a call. I'll show you how it's done. I mean, oh,
6, 7,
absolutely terrible. Okay, let me see if I've got sound. Sound's supposed to be working. Let's see what is going on. If sound. Oh, where am I? Where am I? Someone can say hello. Lua Boy is joined. Thank you very much for joining. Just doing my sound check at the start. If someone's there watching, they can say hello. That looks good. Says we are live. Okay, we are good. We are good to go. I can put that on silent, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see what goes on. If anyone is interested in talking about the new changes to the 189 visa, we have updated Aussie Visa Mate with the stuff. Let's have a look at accountants. And there you go. Looking at accountants, let me show it up on the screen. And the recommendation is no offers are expected. And what you're going to find is that, why won't that disappear? Oh, disappear. It won't do it. Okay, well, how annoying is that? Anyway, what we're going to find is that they've got these new occupation caps for each occupation, and that is going to determine whether or not, well, that's sort of the demand, the maximum number of positions that are available. And then they're looking at the number of 186 visa applications which were granted for that occupation and subtracting that away. They're looking at the number of state sponsorship applications and subtracting that away. And they're looking at the number of 491 and 494 visa grants and subtracting those away. So what are we left with? Well, we're not left with very much. And what I've done is I've looked at the number of people who got granted a 482 visa a year and a half ago, and they're the people, about 75% of 482 applicants after 2 years will get an ENS application. So if our occupation cap is 695 for accountants, and 75% of those people who are already accountants, that's 825. 825 is how many permanent accountants we're going to get, and that's higher than the occupation cap, which means no offers are expected. There you go. When is 189 Victoria expected to? I do not know. 189 is nothing to do with Victoria, so I'm not sure which question is iGorvy. I'm a special needs support worker in the UK. What can I do? Well, look, the news is not good for anyone overseas because for the 189 visas, in the first round this year, back in August, only 1% of the 6,900 or 6,700, 6,900. So that's 69 people for offshore offerees. And of the 10,000 that have just been done in November, only 5%, are for offshore. So look, if I was offshore, I wouldn't be spending my money on a skills assessment. I would be spending my money on a flight. And I would be coming to Australia as a tourist, especially if I'm in the UK. If you're a young person in the UK, like anyone under 35, and you haven't used your working holiday visa, that is your pathway. You should be getting into Australia and trying to stay here by getting sponsored, because it used to be that, the 189 was the premier way to get into general skills migration, was the way to get into Australia. But now they're saying, well, we're only going to take people who are who haven't been, if the spaces haven't been filled up by 186 applications and 19, the states are getting priority over the 189s. I mean, they've turned the whole system up on its head, and effectively the tier 1 occupations, which are the health occupations, and the tier 2 occupations, which are social work. I think social workers is in that tier 2. It's teachers, early childhood. It's ministerial direction 105. I will just check social worker. If what it says, social worker. Offers expected. Yes, I was right. Social worker is tier 2. So you might get an offer, but the cap is, well, we don't know. The predicted cutoff is 70. You might get one through. The occupation cap is 768, and there were 255 grants from the states. We don't know. Unfortunately, there's lots of holes in all the data. We don't know how many social workers are on 482 visas, and therefore how many are going to be eligible for 186s. But look, even if you're getting an offer, right, the processing time is, well, it's 12 months for a 189 at the moment. It's 2 years for a 190 or a 491. You're so much better off if you're in the UK coming to Australia as a tourist. Don't spend your money on a skills assessment and have a 1 or 5% chance of being selected and picked. You're much better off coming over a holiday in Australia and trying to find work here. That's what you should be doing. Okay. Bahadur on YouTube, social worker, 70 points for 189. Well, I just said social workers, we predict the cutoff will be 70, but it'll be the high end of 70. And the thing is that they've already blown their budget for allocations, total allocations, 17,000 this year, 16,900. There shouldn't be any more rounds, despite the fact they also announced they were going to do quarterly rounds. But if they've got no allocation, I don't know how they're going to do it. Although what they may well do, or they may well justify doing, is only offering people who are already in Australia, and then they will claim that, well, we're not changing net migration because these people are already here. They're just moving from a temporary visa to a permanent visa. That wouldn't surprise me. It's the kind of crazy logic that they would use. 3A's off to Australia. We're set for a 491 now through fast track for South Australia. Good luck with that. South Australia doesn't process them. They make offers. The processing's done by the department. Brad is 32. Good on you, Brad. Happy birthday. If it's your birthday, Bitsec sent me a heart me. Good on you, Bitsec. Why November round applicants are getting grants in 20 to 30 days? I'm waiting 3+ months. I haven't seen any grants in 20 to 30 days. But maybe they're doctors or nurses, tier one type people. I don't know. Plumber for a 491 being fast tracked. Good on you. Is carpentry good or exhausted? I got skills assessment positive. If you're in Australia, then carpentry is good. If you're not in Australia, then I don't like your chances. Like only 1% of the August round were from offshore. Only 5% of the 10,000 were offshore. It's only 500 people out of, I don't know, 120 odd occupations. It's only 4 people offshore for every occupation on average. So look, if you're offshore, you've got to get into Australia. That is what you should be doing. And if you can get into Australia and you get a job where you can get a 482 and you will get PR, and you're good to go. Would you know the next invitation round for 189 or 190? Well, no one does. The department said they're going to do them quarterly, but they've got no allocation left. So who knows? If they do it one, we presume it would be in February. And 190s, well, they're done all the time by the different states. So, Mitchie, waiting for a skills assessment renewal. Should I submit an EOI now to buy the time? I do not know. You're not buying any time. I can't imagine there's going to be an offer round. So you should wait until you've got a skills assessment. Yes. Just arrived. I'm here to give my testimony. I got my citizenship approved. Just arrived. Well, now you're just here to stay, aren't you? That's incredible. You still, of course, need to go and do the citizenship ceremony where they smear your face in Vegemite and things like that, make you drink Foster's Lager and all those kind of true blue Aussie things, sing the national, probably you'll hear the national anthem. I don't think you need to sing it. In Thailand, where I live, you actually have to sing the national anthem to become a citizen, so which is quite interesting. Shooter, motor mechanics, 75 points, own points, Tassie. So motor mechanics weren't on the list, and the reason for that is because there are a lot of motor mechanics who are getting, they're transitioning on, it's a really good example. They're transitioning from the 482. So if we look at motor mechanic general, and I'll show you this one. Okay, so here's the motor mechanics. The occupation cap is 793. That's 1% of all, it's tier 3, which is what they call, I think, diverse occupations, which means basically everyone else who's not oversupplied. And according to the ABS, there's 79,300 motor mechanics. So the occupation cap is 1% for tier 3. Occupation cap is 783. Now, a couple of years ago, there were over 2,000 mechanics on 482 visas. And so this is why they're not getting any offers through the 189 system. It's not to say the states won't do it, because the states can do whatever they want. But for a 189, we're not expecting any offers for motor mechanics, and that's why. In fact, we're not expecting any offers for motor mechanics for the next 2 years, because of all of the large numbers who are in the 482 transitioning to 186. So good luck with Tasmania. Tom Groves. Is subclass 600 best visa for my wife? Where is it? God, where are we going? So people, you can, if you want to book an appointment, I've got a webinar which is going to be, I think, on Saturday night and Monday night. I'm doing 2 of them on this subject, the 189. I'll go through people's particular occupations, book in for the webinar on that link. Okay, Tom, is subclass 600 best visa for my wife and children to come visit me while I'm here on a working holiday visa? No, you wouldn't. Well, I don't know where they're from, but if they're, and I don't know where you're from, but if you can get an ETA or an E-visa, a 601 or a 651, then that would be better. With a name like Tom Groves, I was going to say you're British, and if you're on a working holiday visa, but I'm not sure where your wife and kids are from. So yes, so I don't know if that is the best visa or not, because I don't know enough about the situation. But if you can get an E-visa, they'll do that quicker. Mitch, Comp Science and Network, 100 points for a 189. Come one, they have to invite some. Well, they're not. They're not going to. And I can tell you why. And it comes up, it says in red, no offers expected. And the reason is, firstly, the occupation cap is very low. It's only 72, which is 0.5% of the 14,000 CNSE occupations that there are. 190 grants and 491 grants were 100. If the cap is 72, it means that the cap is being completely filled by the people on the 190s. The states are bringing those people in, so the government is not going to do it. That's not even looking at the number of people on 482s in the computer site, in the comp sci area. So so there you go. I don't think you're going to get one, Mitchie. You need to find a job. You need to be on shore as well, because they're just not making offshore application. It's not it's like 50-50 is these people onshore, these people offshore. These are the applicants, but the people who are getting invited, 99% were onshore in August, 95% were onshore in November. If you're not onshore, you're just wasting your money. So like on skills assessments, English tests, things like that. Buy an airfare, get to Australia, find work. What is the occupation cap for an external order? Waiting for a 190 Vic grant lodged in December. Well, if you've already lodged it, it doesn't really matter, does it? But external auditors, we don't need a lot of external auditors, do we? External auditors, we do say, well, the cap is 62. So that's what I calculate the cap to. It's still tier 4. We probably won't get any. We don't have any statistics on the 482 visas. So there's 50 190 grants and 491 grants. Cap 62. There's got to be people in the system. I don't think anyone in tier 4 really is going to get an offer. But you're safe. Send some roses. People are gifting, which is great. Following the host. ECT 189 with 85 points. DOE 16th of the 10th. So ECTs are tier 2 because of Ministerial Direction 105. Early childhood. If you've got the app, I can show it. We show it on the screen. Early childhood. Early childhood. Okay, so early childhood, these are the latest figures. So we've got 8,200 applicants. The occupation cap is 978. And we don't know how many people are on the 482s. So we don't know, but we do know that there's been 190 grants for the 190 and the 491. So there's still 400 or 500 places. Last year they offered almost 300. So we expect that it's still they'll still be making offers. But what I can tell you is every month this total applicants number is going up by about 400. So if they don't do any more rounds until August 2026, there's going to be over 10,000 applicants, and depending on where you are, you might find that, well, there's no one at 90 at the moment because they've just offered all the people with 90, right? But you're going to find that there are going to be people at 90 who are going to get preferences, and if enough people apply, like 4,000 more people apply with 90 points, you might find that this predicted cutoff is going to move from 85 to 90. So that's the story with early childhood teachers. I think you're best off. Firstly, you'll need to be on shore, and secondly, you're much better off getting a job in the field. How about cabinet makers in Victoria? Well, cabinet makers are just go to Aussie Visa, mate. Get the information. But cabinet makers, there it is. Cabinet makers are, well, they're not eligible for independent visas, so you'll need to be sponsored on a work visa. Rabin, I'm going to apply 407 visa on the 25th of December. Well, good luck with that, Rabin. How about UNISA? How about civil draftsperson? How about structural engineers? So civil draftspersons, God. Jesus.